to another episode of Pimp Your Brilliance with Monique Malcolm, a podcast about brilliant people leveraging their passions to create their own opportunities. I aim to show you what's really possible when you shut down the chorus of fear and lean into your genius zone. You can learn more about this show and subscribe for updates by visiting keepchasingthestars.com/podcast or come hang out with me on Instagram at StarChasersOnly. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hey Star Chasers, this episode of Pimp Your Brilliance is brought to you by the Visionary Journal. The Visionary Journal is a goal-setting guide, mini vision board, and day planner. It provides a simple structure to help you break your goals into actionable steps that you can integrate into your daily life. Pre-orders are now open for the new and improved Galaxy Visionary Journal. For more information and to pre-order a copy, visit visionaryjournal.co. This is Minisode number 13. For more information about this episode or for show notes, you can check them out at keepchasingthestars.com/M13. Hey guys. So today we are going to do my very first listener question. And it is from Telara Caldwell, and she wants to know, when you have so many creative ideas, how do you decide on which one to lead with? And I believe if you are a creative and you're a multi-passionate creative, then this is a common issue because you have no shortage of ideas. Like, there's tons of them and they come all the time at the most inconvenient times. I find specifically my ideas tend to come when I'm engrossed in another project and then another idea pops up and it's like, pick me. But we can't do that because we need to stay on track and get our work done. And so I want to start with a quote, and it is from Mary Kay Ash, and she says, "Ideas are a dime a dozen. People who implement them are priceless." And that is really going to be the theme of this episode. Like, you have to learn how to evaluate which ideas are important and then get on with implementing them, because they're not worth crap if they just stay ideas. And that is another struggle that creatives have, is like having so many ideas and not implementing them, not letting them see the light of day. And I find that to be so sad because, like, you don't know if that idea is the thing. Like, what if it's the thing that really changes things for you and like really elevates your brand and your life to the next level that you're looking for, but you're stalling on it. So I want to offer up a couple of suggestions, starting with some criteria. So the first thing I would tell you, if you're struggling with this issue, is you really need to evaluate your ideas against your current goals. And what I mean by that is thinking about, like, what are you trying to accomplish in the next 3, 6 months, next year? Like, what are your goals and how does this idea fit into that goal? So for an example, if you had this like amazing idea all of a sudden to do a podcast, you have to think about, is this podcast helping me reach my goals? And so you need to be clear about what those are. Like, is your immediate need, your immediate goal to make your side hustle bring in a certain amount of money? Is your immediate need, your immediate goal to grow your email list or to grow your visibility? Like, you have to think about what that is, because knowing what your immediate needs are and what your immediate goals are really going to determine like which idea you can work on next. Because if your immediate goal is to start making some income with your side hustle, maybe a podcast is not the idea that you need to be working on at this moment. Because I'm going to be honest, it takes a lot of work to put on a podcast. And at this moment in time, I actually have not made a dime from the podcast, in the sense of like, it's not being sponsored by an outside company or bringing in money in the way that some other people have monetized their podcast. What my podcast is really well at is letting people know, like, I'm here and increasing my visibility, which ends up, sales on products and services on the back end. But it does not make me like direct money. Like, I don't get paid every time I drop an episode. So that's something that you have to think about. Here's some criteria that I want you to consider when you are evaluating, should I pursue this idea right now or should I put it on the back burner? So like I said, the first thing you need to think about is like, what are your current goals? Because that's going to help you decide which goals move forward in this process. But after that, you need to think about things like, number one, is this low-hanging fruit? So what I mean by that is, can this idea be realized in the shortest amount of time? So if you have 3 ideas and you have one that's going to take you 2 weeks to finish, and then you have another idea that's going to take you 2 months, and there's another one that's going to take you 2 years, of course, you're going to go with the 2-week idea. So thinking about like, how quickly can you get this done? What is the time investment for this idea? And if it's the shortest time and it fits all the other criteria, then you're going to pick that idea. But let's go through the rest of the criteria. Is there an investment involved? So is this going to cost you money up front? And can you afford to make that investment right now? So that's important because sometimes we have ideas and there is going to be an expense. And if we can afford that, that's great. But sometimes that expense may overextend us, or sometimes that expense may divert important funds away from another idea that's already in the works. So you have to consider that as well. The third criteria is, do you have the resources and skills to execute this idea? So are you going to need specialized tools or programs, or are you going to need to learn new skills to make this idea a reality? Because that goes back into the whole time thing. Like, are you going to need time to learn this skill before you can even start putting this idea into play? And with the tools, that goes back into the money of the investment question. Like, are you going to need to purchase tools or materials or supplies before you can get this idea off the ground? Number 4, how soon are you trying to make money from this idea? And this kind of goes back to what I said about needing to evaluate your ideas against your current goals. If your idea is something that's like a long game. So again, I mentioned the podcast, like the podcast is a long game for me. The end goal is not to make money from it right away. My end goal is something bigger. Like I would like to write a book. And so I know that there's some upfront investment of time and effort, but I know eventually I want to write a book. So you have to think about things like that. Like, how soon are you trying to make money from this idea? If you're trying to make money right away, then there's certain ideas that just aren't going to be feasible. Like, you don't want to do them first. So something that's going to cost you money, or something that's going to have a huge investment of time, it may be a while before you make money off of that. So you need to really be conscious of that. Like, are you trying to make money off of this by the end of the month? Because then you need to pick another idea. Like maybe you're thinking, okay, I want to start making money with my side hustle. Well, I don't suggest that you try to, build this really huge, robust service if you don't have all the pieces that you need for it. But maybe you could do a quick paid workshop online that people can opt into and pay for, and that can make you a couple of dollars up front. You have to think about these kinds of things because, again, this is really helping you determine, should this idea be moved ahead of the other ones, or is this an idea that needs to be tabled for later on down the line? And I kind of I ran criteria number 4 and criteria number 5 kind of together, but my last criteria is, what is the end game for this idea? Because you need to know that. Like, does this idea have a larger purpose beyond just making you a few dollars up front? What's the overall maximum impact for this idea? Is it something that can set your brand on the course to being a 6-figure brand, a 7-figure brand? Could it catapult you to the place that you want to be? Or is this just an idea for right now to make a quick couple of dollars or to increase your visibility really quickly? You have to think about these kinds of things because all of these ideas are taking time and they're taking effort. So if this is something that is going to be expensive, it's going to take you a long time, you need to buy tools, you need to learn skills, but ultimately it's going to be like a flash in the pan. Like, you're going to make a few dollars here and then you're going to move on to something else. Then that's not an idea that I suggest that you pursue first. Put some other things that are going to be better aligned with your goals up front and move some of these other ideas to the back burner. Something else that I want to point out is you have to recognize that not every idea has to be implemented right now. So I'm not going to say that there are no expiration dates on ideas. There are some ideas that are better executed at some time versus others. But that's not to say that every single idea that you have is going to expire. Like, you can put it on an ongoing list of someday maybe ideas. Have a notebook, an Evernote folder, a OneNote folder, a Google Drive document that you just keep an ongoing list of all your ideas and come back to it later. Maybe when you do your quarterly review or your yearly review, at whatever time frame you do a review in, that could be a time that you go back and you check your list of ideas and see if any of these ideas fit the criteria and you want to work on them right now. And then once you have decided on an idea, you need to research that idea properly and make sure that you're really in love with the process, because this is the thing that you're going to have to build from scratch and not just the outcome. So sometimes ideas sound good because it's like, oh, it could do this thing, or it could make me a lot of money, or it could increase my visibility. It could make my brand look nicer. But then you realize that you really just like the outcome and you care nothing about the process. And that's tough because you're not going to finish that idea. So you really need to make sure that you love the process just as much as you love the outcome of what this idea could be. And then once you do that, you need to choose the idea, pick it, and then commit to doing the work for it. Because here's the bottom line. Choosing the idea isn't as important as it is to execute that idea. Ideas are great, but they'll stay ideas unless you take action. And that is really the key here. Pimp your brilliance, boo. Go out there and make these things work and get these ideas off the ground, because they're worth nothing if they stay in your head or if they stay on your notebook. And the quicker that you start to implement these ideas and execute them and get them shipped, get them out the door, the faster you will be able to move on to the next one and see if that works. So I hope that answers your question. If anyone else has questions, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at hello@keepchasingthestars.com and put in the subject line listener question, and I would be happy to answer it on a future episode. So I hope to hear from you. And that's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening. Learn more about this show and get access to show notes by visiting keepchasingthestars.com. While you're there, make sure you subscribe for updates. I'll be back next week, and in the meantime, go out there and pimp your brilliance.